Oliver, thank you for joining us today on the channel. It's a privilege having you here all the way from Cape Town. You guys are here on holiday. So just tell us a little bit about yourself so we can introduce a guest to you, and then we'll flow with that from there.
Well, hello, Paul. Thank you for having me. And technically speaking, I'm not from Cape Town. I'm from Somerset West. There's a difference. Don't ever say I'm from Cape Town.
Gotcha.
Anyway, I'm on holiday here, but this is also my second home. So I might just end up living here permanently eventually.
Oh, that sounds good. Yeah, you guys, you've got a place in Obi for the past few years. And I've been there once or twice. Beautiful place, very relaxing. I would also rather stay there, just rather there than here in George. So, Martin, tell me a little bit about the, obviously we had to talk bikes. Don't want to get into too much personal stuff, but I've known Martin for the past, 5 or 6 years, probably longer. And we've been really good friends.
2017.
Oh my. Oh, that's a really long time. So Martin is a biker, but let's get into, how did you get into getting yourself a bike? Where did that start?
Do you want the short answer or the long one?
You can make it whatever, doesn't matter.
Well, my personality and my career. I'm an attorney. I'm always living by the book. I'm boring and predictable. Yes, I'm saying that about myself. So I needed something, just to push my own boundaries, and I decided on a bike. And without having any experience or exposure, I went on YouTube, I went on Google, and got myself a bike. I remember I got my first bike like a week before COVID started.
Oh, man.
Without knowing anything about bikes.
Did you have any challenges? Look, obviously you knew nothing about bikes. You probably went out there, just saw something that looks nice. But did you have any challenges after you bought the bike?
Well, I relied on an old school friend of mine. He's an avid biker, and he told me to start with the Honda NC700.
Awesome bike.
Well, it's not a fast bike, it's not a super bike, it's just what I call a commuter. And it can do everything well, nothing exceptionally well, but it was a very good starting bike.
Yeah, those NC700s, they actually really good on a normal gravel road as well.
Yes, it's not for off-roading.
No, it's not a dual purpose. I would say it's like 70% tar, 30% gravel, maybe.
85-15.
Yeah, exactly. All right, and then obviously, I mean, you're quite a tall oak. Helmet size, we've had issues with that. So where did you? Okay, so Martin, as it doesn't look like it, but there's loads of brains in that area. Okay, it's just really large. So an XL large, an XL helmet just doesn't work for it. So you can't go into a normal shop, not even in Cape Town, and buy a helmet. So where did you eventually get a helmet from?
It took some time, but Bikings in Pardon Island, yeah, it was Bikings. They had one in stock. I am sure it was old stock and it was in the back of their warehouse. But I left with the helmet, and it's time to get another one now, and I'm struggling.
Okay, yeah, that's a problem. And the thing is, to order these things from overseas is a massive risk because it's expensive.
Yes, it happened to me in November.
Oh man.
So I'm sitting with a brand new helmet and it doesn't fit me.
And it's a what size?
That's a 3XL.
Oh my goodness. And what make?
It's a Shark.
Shark helmet. That's not good. Okay, but I'm pretty sure once someone sees this on the video, they'll make contact with us in the comment section and we can maybe sort you out with the helmet.
Let's hope for the best.
Yeah, so, okay, let's go into a little bit more personal stuff. So the main reason I wanted to specifically talk to you today was because as on a personal level, you are a gay male biker. So, everybody always says bikers are very acceptive of everyone and we're loving people, although they look rugged and rough and crazy. So, what was your experience being gay, going into the biking scene, meeting other bikers, socializing with them, etc., etc.?
You know, Paul, it was the easiest thing ever. Right when I got my first bike, I was still scared, like extremely scared. I was sweating all the way. And I remember going the first time towards Kleinmond from Somerset West. So you go over the Solaris Pass area there by Gordons Bay. And I was scared out of my mind. I eventually stopped in Kleinmond at the roadside coffee shop, and there was about 25 bikers, and they saw me, and they immediately realized what was happening. They just welcomed me, and no questions asked. They just encouraged me and offered advice, and that was the beginning of everything. No judgment, no laughing at me, just pure acceptance.
You see, well, that's exactly how I've come to know the biker groups. They don't really, it's where people go that need to be somewhere if they have no place to be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
To be part of the community, you need to have a bike and you need to be a lucky person. That's it.
That's it. 100%. Yeah. So, I would always suggest to people to, especially when you're in a situation where you got to get up, emotionally, you're feeling, depressed or whatever, is to get on the bike and ride. So, when do you prefer to go bike riding?
Weekdays after work. I'm an attorney. It's a stressful industry. This is my escape from reality. So I'll find the longest way possible to go back home.
Yeah, and being in the Cape region, I mean, you guys, you live in Somerset West, but your offices are in Cape Town.
We do have an office in Cape Town, but my primary office is in Gordons Bay.
Ooh.
So there's lots of scenic routes.
Oh, it's beautiful there. Wow, that's an amazing place. And then obviously, commuting with the car versus your bike from where you live to where you work. Tell us a little bit about that. How's that changed your mindset about actually riding the bike more or less than being in your vehicle? The dangers and the not dangers of it?
I won't really say it's dangerous. I mean, riding a bike, of course, there's risk involved, but the biggest difference for me is the time it takes me to drive to work in the mornings. With my car, it will take about 40 minutes. With the bike, it's 15 minutes. So you do save some time in the morning. But in the afternoons, it's a different story. Then I'll find a way to make the journey as long as possible. Then when I have the time to do it.
Of course.
So, unfortunately, I can't take my bike every day. On days I need to go to court. I can't get on my bike with the rope and everything on. I'm going to look like Batman, but it's not a good idea. So I take my bike as often as possible, but it's not possible every day.
Yeah, imagine getting that rope stuck in your chain.
I do not recommend that.
That's going to look funny. All right, tell me now. I wanna try and emphasize the fact that I don't know how to put it, but it's like, have you met other male bikers in the gay community, and what are they like? Do you experience them the same, or do you think they have like a different kind of mindset? Because like you told me once that you feel out when you at a gay convention because you're too straight.
That's true.
So that's what I'm trying to get to is have you ever found that when you busy biking or you're somewhere and you find another biker dude that's also gay, that he's a little bit like more out there and they get weird about it? Or do you think there's like a mutual flow of the kind of people that get into biking, gay, straight, or, you know?
It's a
It's a difficult question, but I mean,
it's
it's
a difficult
something,
question, and
yeah,
it's a gray area. You know, Paul, at the end of the day, we all go to work in the morning. We all go to Pick n Pay or Checkers after work to buy our groceries. We buy the same milk as a straight person. We buy the same meat. We buy the same veggies. We live pretty similar lives. We have the same struggles, the same worries. Just because something is a bit different in the bedroom, it's not really making a difference in the bigger scheme of things.
okay. Well,
So,
yeah, I think that explains a lot, eh? Yeah, there's not really much more to say about that then.
not on a day-to-day basis. Every now and again, there is the odd, let's call it a situation, but we deal with it as it comes along.
Of course.
It's nothing to lie awake about.
Okay, so getting back to the bike itself. So you've got your NC 700,
750 now.
750.
Yeah, started with the 700 and got my mandatory first accident, or the last one, hopefully, and replaced it with the 750.
Okay, that's awesome. And are you looking at buying something else soon?
And not at the moment. Maybe when I have a nicer budget in future.
And if you've got that, then what would your preference be?
Well, next time I want to try a bit something more dual purpose. I don't have a preference, but I'm used to the road bike now, so
Look, you're rather tall, so my suggestion would always be to look at a GS 1200 or 1250.
but that's your personal favorite.
That's my personal favorite. I've been on mine for a while. I'm not as tall as you are, but I'm quite heavy and big. And you know what? It's given me service. It's awesome for wind deflection, etc., etc. So that's probably something that's going to fit you better. It's a heavy bike, but I mean, you're tall, so it's not going to make the difference. So whenever you're looking at another bike, that's maybe the way to go. The KTM's sports bike, all about power, ready to race, no wind deflection. You're going to sit there like this.
Well, will you help me with the financing?
I will send you someone that can help you with financing.
Welcome to Biker Dudes. Biker Dudes is a channel by bikers for bikers.
Okay, Martin, you had your first bike, and then a situation happened. Tell me about the situation and what happened after that.
Well, you call it a situation. I call it an unfortunate accident. It was one cold winter morning, I think back in 2022. I was on my way to work on the N2, just outside of Somerset West. And Sunroll was busy with roadworks.
Oh,
They removed the signage next to the road, and you know, as a biker yourself, you don't look right in front of you, you look far ahead.
obviously, yeah.
So I missed the roadworks, and so I landed on my back on the road with the bike on top of me. That was quite an experience. I do not recommend it, but the bike was basically a write-off.
Okay.
And yeah, the very next day in the hospital, I sold the wreck for the same price I bought a bike for. It was my lucky day.
Oh, there we go.
And a few days later at home, I decided I need to get another bike, and that's how I got my NC 750.
Yeah, and those are awesome bikes, eh? So, look, a lot of people after an accident, their confidence crumbles. I had the same experience with my first accident. My first and last. Excuse my dog. Ben is a proper Boston that loves attention. Anyway, but I had the same experience. I had a massive, not massive, but like a 60-kilometer accident on my bike on the gravel. I got hurt badly, at least a week of breathing properly like you should. And after that, whenever I got onto a bike, I sold my big bike. I bought a F800 which was, I think, a really good buy at that time for me. And it really took me some time to get over going around a corner on gravel. Even now, I do not go through a corner as fast as my other friends do. You know, I take it easier. I'm always more careful. You know, so for you, how did that affect your psychological bike riding mindset, and how did you get over it eventually?
Well, in my situation, it took me 2 years to get over my fear of bikes. I started loving my bike. I loved my 700. And the new bike, I hated the bike in the beginning. But I forced myself to get back in the saddle. And it was a terrible experience. But I just kept on going. And,
And now you enjoy it again.
well, I'm almost there. Some days I still have that flashback, but I suppose that's normal.
Yeah.
But nothing is going to stop me from riding.
Look, there's always good advice. The one is when you on a tar road and you do see a gravel patch or anything, never brake. If you want to brake, hit the back brake, but not hard. Stay off the front brake at all times.
You see, but with a beginner like I was at the time, your instinct is just
It's to brake.
brake and
Yeah, and then you break your back.
exactly.
Broke back mountain, there we go. Anyway, literally, and you're on like 750 horses. Anyway,
Yeah.
well, maybe 63 horses, but it's close enough. Anyway, so yeah, you know, obviously you being a new biker, what would be your best advice for anyone looking at getting into biking right now, being inexperienced with literally zero time on bikes ever? What's your advice to them?
Get a bike you want, the exact bike you want, but respect your bike. Do not go on the highway in the first month. Do not go over a mountain pass. Just use the bike in your own neighborhood. Get familiar with your bike, with the acceleration, with the braking, with the corners. You need to know your bike better than your spouse before you can go out on the open road.
Yeah, that is solid advice. That's actually the perfect advice. Yeah, and you're right. Get the bike you want. You're going to get used to it anyway.
On that note, get a bike you want, but do not go for the smaller bikes, not for a 300 cc's or so. Even if you don't want a super bike, you still need some power to get out of a difficult situation if you need to.
That's solid advice as well. We had the same, I think on episode 1 or 2, Ronelle, she's a female rider. She suggests the same thing. She had a GS310 the first time around.
It's a lovely bike. but
Lovely bike.
Sometimes you just need that little bit of extra.
I think it's a good bike for when you, like a really small young rider. But, you know, she went on to the 650 Dakar, which was, she loved it. But now she's on the F800 and she can actually handle the 1200. But F800, I think that was her perfect bike. And her advice also was just to get what you want and learn how to ride it. And what you can afford, of course.
That's the problem.
There's a massive difference there. Okay, Martin, I think that's a good chat. And with that, we can close. So I thank you once again for being on the channel with me today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and it was really awesome chatting to you. You know, it's a different world listening to someone that, you know, came from nowhere to biking and being happy with it. So lucky, man. I love it.